Where the Wild Things Are. I was watching this movie last night. I kind of wanted to revisit it mainly because, well, one, I bought the Blu-ray a little bit a while ago. I saw it when it was first in theaters. I hadn't watched it since. I found the Blu-ray this was like maybe a few months ago. Found it for $5. So it's definitely a movie I want to have on hand. But sometimes it's like you never really feel in the mood to watch it. It's a certain kind of movie. But what kind of made me want to take a look at it again was unfortunately, recently, actor James Gandolfini died recently, 51 years old, had a heart attack, very sad. And when an actor dies, or any like a director, writer, whatever, someone that you like, and YouTube community or anywhere else, like on the internet where people get together, aside from maybe talking about politics, what a lot of people like to do is talk about movies, and a lot of people, were movie fans, and as such, I think, uh, when a personality like this dies, you feel sad about it, and you kind of mourn in your own little way, and that makes sense to me because it's for the same reasons why you like them and enjoy them and respect them when they're alive. So, I know I've never met James Gandolfini in my life. He has no effect on my life personally. But as someone, who enjoys the art of movies and of television, of storytelling, basically, you always have a respect for those kinds of people, and you do feel sad when they're gone. That makes sense to me. And it also makes sense that, when they die, you kind of reflect in your own way, think about their work. He's had a great body of work, really. You know, uh, the obvious one is The Sopranos. Tony Soprano, his Emmy award-winning role, Golden Globe. He won like every single award under the sun for that role. Um, but he had a good movie career too, and he always kind of tried to play against the mobster type. I also watched The Last Castle with Robert Redford, where he played a warden at a military prison, which is so against the role, very reserved and kind of calm and introverted performance, where it wasn't so much lashing out in intense actions and arguments, which you could see that he could totally do in The Sopranos. He's very intense in certain scenes of that show. But here it was all with The Last Castle. It was all about like very precise, calculated moves, and carefully choosing sentences, and kind of maintaining a certain honor within his military ranks, and trying to work around it, and trying to basically one up this very honorable general in prison general, played by Robert Redford, who's just pretty much in every scene the American flag is like waving behind him, and his teeth sparkle like a Colgate commercial or something. But anyway, I thought it was really good in that movie, and he actually pretty much he topped Robert Redford. But another one that I had wanted to watch and reflect on was Where the Wild Things Are, where he voiced Carol, the big fuzzy monster, in the movie. And this is one of the thing is, it was weird when I first heard the news and kind of reflected on his roles. This was kind of the first movie that came to mind, actually. I don't know why, but like it's not really him, it's his voice, but he leaves an impression, and what a unique decision to cast him, of all people, in this role. It's definitely not something that you would immediately think of. Like when Spike Jonze made the movie, he must have thought, who can I get to voice Carol, this monster? How many people, you probably think maybe of some obvious choices, of some like really deep voices and things like that. But and Gandolfini does have a deep voice, but he has a very unique voice, very distinct voice. Um, where like in some movies you hear the kind of New Jersey Italian accent, some movies you don't. Here it's not really, but you kind of do. You can pick up hints of it. But yeah, what a unique choice, and what a great cast in this movie. Like, of course, there's Paul Dano in the movie voicing a character, and Chris Cooper does a voice, and Catherine O'Hara, and plenty of other actors. I won't go into all of them. Forrest Whitaker is another one. And the human cast is pretty good too. Pretty much limited to the kid, Max Records, which is I can't tell if that's an awesome name or just a ridiculous name. I think it's kind of an awesome name actually. He'll have a great future as a DJ. But Catherine Keener plays his mom, and she's great. Playing like she's understanding, but to a point, and that's kind of the key to the movie. I think where she's like the thing is this movie. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but basically the movie is about childhood, and it's about something that I think a lot of people can relate to. Being a kid, being kind of in your own little world, kind of feeling misunderstood, lost, but the key to the movie, I think, is the mom character, because you could go about this a completely different way. Like Spike Jonze could have gone about it a completely different way, in being that the mom doesn't care at all, doesn't pay attention to him. There's definitely aspects of that, but I felt like she's understanding, she's caring and attentive to a point. Obviously, you pick up on certain things. Like, you get the idea that, yeah, she's caught up in work. Yeah, she's divorced, so there's some stuff there that you kind of leave it up to fill in the blanks with your own assumptions. But she does take the time out to, pay attention to her son, but not as much as, seems to help him. So that's kind of what causes the whole fantasy world to start for him. Or is it a fantasy? I don't know. I like to think that this movie, what I see in this movie, 100% real. Why should we have to think it's just a fantasy in his head? Why? I don't think you have to. I accept it as being a real thing. He really does go to this island and meet these monsters. That's what I kind of think. That's my impression of the movie. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that you can relate to, like kind of looking back on your own childhood. Everybody has a moment like that. And what I really, really like about this movie is that this is a really rare movie because, I know people kind of made the joke like, oh, it's really for hipsters who say that's their favorite book ever or whatever crap. Maybe aimed a little bit more towards adults, the kid inside the adults, basically, which I guess is kind of the lens I'm viewing it from. But it is a kid's movie at its heart. And the thing is, it's so rare because this is a movie a kid's movie that doesn't treat kids like fucking idiots. It actually has a respect for children and their own kind of mindset, and their imaginations and how they would carry on a conversation, even if it is with wildly fantastic imaginary characters. It doesn't speak down to them, which I think is the problem with 99.99999% of kids' movies these days. They're made by adults. They see kids as these little dollar signs, and they're like, oh, they'll love this. They'll love the fucking dancing penguins and, or stupid CGI squirrels singing Kesha songs in high vocals. That's great. Kids will love that. They'll eat it up. No, this is a more respectful movie, and it's a quiet movie, and it takes its time. It's a slow-moving movie. It's a calm movie, but I think that's a testament to the quality of it because it doesn't make the assumption that kids are these sugar-fueled little brats who can't sit still and watch a story for an hour and a half. And kids can do that. At least I assume so. I was a kid once. I could do that, especially maybe 8 years old, somewhere around that area. So it doesn't really kind of assault your senses and, ADD generation. They want something like, you go to any YouTube video other than this one. Someone yelling at the camera or jump shot, something like that. It's just kind of how we're conditioned that we want something perky and high energy. But you're not going to find that here. Anyway, this movie is great. I think it's a great movie, again, for the reasons I stated. It's great use of special effects. Again, they're real physical monsters, so they are puppets, but they're assisted through CGI, which I really liked. It goes to show, you could list a number of higher, bigger budget movies. But this one is actually a prime example of how practical effects and physical effects can have a perfect marriage together, and to tell the story. So it's not like a huge CGI action fest or anything like that. It's a calm movie. It's a very simple story, but it's about characters and their interactions and kind of, you know, being on this island and kind of finding it's weird. It's kind of an existential movie from the point of view of a kid. He kind of finds himself and finds out things about himself and how he acts and how he'd like to be treated. Really basic emotions and basic, principles. But he finds that out about himself through these monsters, and the monsters, find things out through him too. And the relationship between Max and Carol, it's a very sweet relationship. There's the last scene is so kind of sad, where he's mad at him, but then he runs back and says goodbye to him. Awoo, awoo. That was really sweet, and I liked that. But very, very touching movie. I liked all that aspects of it. And one thing I have to say, I love the soundtrack. As a huge fan of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, when I first heard that Carano was going to do the soundtrack for this movie, I'm like, I'm there. One of my top favorite artists of all time. And of course, I do own the soundtrack. And I think I listened to the soundtrack before I saw the movie, so I don't know. But great songs from Carano and the kids. All Is Love, the title track. That should have been nominated for an Oscar, I think. It was not nominated for a Golden Globe, but I think it's one of the best original soundtracks, not like compilation soundtracks, not just original score. I think this is one of the best and most unique soundtracks that I've ever listened to, at least in the past few years. I mean, it's hard to even think of anything else where an artist does original songs for a movie. Like, even Disney movies, they don't do that anymore, but it used to be, like, you'd see that a lot. Like, okay, Sting is doing all the songs for Emperor's New Groove, or, whatever. You could think of a whole bunch of examples. Prince doing all the songs for his movie, or for Batman. But anyway, I really love the soundtrack to the movie, and it complements the movie very well. Kind of gives it its whimsical, childlike kind of feeling to it. And it's a beautiful looking movie too, and I guess you could expect no less from Spike Jonze. But real technical marvel, and real calm, and real meaningful storytelling about basically being a kid. And, why tell a kid that the sun's going to burn out and everyone's going to die? That's kind of where the stemming point of the movie is. It's about innocence, in a way. And, that's kind of what I took from it. It's about kind of struggling in this day and age in particular. This is a movie of the here and now. It's a few years old, but it's, a modern story. Even though the book is older, it's about maintaining innocence and keeping, your childlike wonder, I guess, but still trying to learn and get along with others. It's a simple moral. It's really nice, but it's done in a really nice way. And I'm sure there are people who could read into it a lot deeper than I could and point out things that I would never think of and take tons of symbolism out of it. I don't know, but the movie is excellent. I love it. Really great movie, and a great vocal performance from James Gandolfini, who brought the Carol character just the right touches and brought all the emotion to him, where he was kind of an unpredictable and sympathetic character. Like, his scenes of anger were really kind of, I would imagine they'd scare kids. But his sad scenes, he's a sad character, but, you like him and you think Max is going to bring out the best in him, and he does, and that's kind of a nice thing to think about. And he brings the best out of Max, too. So, very sweet movie. I really enjoy it. I think it's a classic. I think it's one of those movies that if kids, say, watched it in theaters in 2009, maybe didn't think too much of it, because when you watch a kid, you forget the movie the next day, pretty much, unless you watch it over and over and over again, which I'm sure we're all guilty of doing when we were kids. But it's one of those movies where maybe you'll watch and forget about, you'll rediscover it later and think, wow, that was a really good movie. I'm really surprised about it, and I found new things to like about it as an adult. So I think it's one of those kinds of movies. But yeah, I think it's a classic in its own right. Really well done. I know some people have their criticisms of it, and that's fine. Um, but I love it. It's definitely something I can watch every now and again. I don't think I'd watch it, every day, but it's something I'd like to keep in my collection. It's something a little different. Like if you want kind of the family-friendly entertainment, it's a nice alternative to say like a Disney movie or a Pixar movie. Even though those are quality movies, but this is a very unique and very special movie. So that's pretty much what I'll end at here. Again, thank you for watching. Rest in peace, James Gandolfini, a great actor. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you later.